So Cerec is a CAD/CAM milling system. So for those who don't know what CAD/CAM is, CAD, C-A-D, stands for computer-aided design, and CAM stands for computer-aided milling. So we're able to use the CAD/CAM system to make same-day ceramic restorations. So in simple English, all that simply means is your crowns can be made in the same day, veneers can be made in the same day, and onlays, which are sort of half crowns for protecting teeth, can also be made in the same day. So we have no need to sort of send certain impressions and molds off to a lab anymore. We just make everything all in-house. So a Cerec solution is suitable for anyone who has a tooth that's heavily compromised or heavily broken down. So often we have people who have had sort of large fillings done, or a tooth that's been filled many, many times over. And there just comes to a point where you start to run out of teeth, and we need some way of protecting that tooth so it's stable in the long term, so you can keep your teeth for longer. So anyone who has a tooth that's heavily compromised might be a suitable candidate for Cerec onlay or a Cerec crown. So the main advantage of making a same-day crown versus the traditional or conventional way of doing it is that with a same-day crown, there's no need for a temporary. So historically, we will take an impression, put a lot of goo in your mouth, send that to the lab, and the lab will make the onlay or the crown off-site. And during that 2-week period while we're waiting for the lab to come back in the post, you're stuck with a temporary. Now, temporaries can be good, but they have a lot of drawbacks. Sometimes temporaries can come off, and if they come off, that can be very inconvenient. Because the temporary is only put on with a sort of a weak glue or a weak cement, the tooth can be sensitive if the tooth is still alive while it has the temporary in place. And temporaries aren't always the best aesthetically looking restorations. So when we make it all in-house, we avoid the need for temporaries. The second main advantage is that everything is done in one day. So instead of coming back twice, you only have one appointment. That means less time off work for you. That means you come in for, the appointment's a little bit longer so we can mill and design and mill the onlay. But in that one appointment, everything gets done and there's no need for further appointments. So the process of making a same-day crown starts off very similar to making a crown the traditional way. We start off by preparing the tooth very conservatively and being as minimally invasive as possible. Once the preparation is complete, we then use our lovely machine here to 3D scan the tooth. This picks up a lot of detail and is incredibly accurate and reproducible as well. So we scan the tooth and we have a 3D image of the tooth pop up. And on that 3D image is where we design and mill your onlay or your crown. This scanning machine here speaks to a machine next door, which is our milling machine. And that sends all that data to the milling machine, and the milling machine will make your onlay or make your crown or your restoration. Once it's made, I will then go on and stain it and glaze it, make it look as natural and realistic as possible. We put some tints in it. We've got all sorts of different colors, some brown, some white, some blue, just to really give a really realistic result. Once that milling and staining and glazing is done, we then put it in our lovely furnace and it turns from that lovely lilac color to a tooth color in about 14 or 15 minutes or so. And when it comes out, you have your lovely new tooth, which we bond into the mouth, and that's it. So maintaining an onlay, or any other restoration for that matter, is exactly the same as maintaining your natural teeth. We need to brush twice a day, morning and night time, and we need to ensure that we're flossing daily around all the contact points of all our teeth and around any restorations that we've had, just to keep the margins nice and tidy. So the same way you can have plaque build up around a tooth, you can get plaque build up around an onlay. If it builds up around an onlay or a crown, it can track underneath the onlay or crown and cause a lot of damage without you knowing. So being on top of your hygiene is absolutely imperative. And then once you've done that, it's then about seeing the hygienist every 6 months or so, so they can get to the bits that you can't reach, just to keep everything as tidy as possible. And that's your aftercare.